Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Null Kaleidoscope. I'm Gayatri Nayak and Null as a community truly believes in empowering others through knowledge sharing. Hence, if you're someone who is confused about where to start with cybersecurity or you feel overwhelmed with the abundance of information available out there, please join our study groups at Null Discord. Link has been mentioned in the description below. Study groups is based on various topics like cloud security, red teaming, network pen testing. So please join Null study groups. And we have also published two research papers recently based on cloud security and crypto vulnerabilities. So please check them out. Today we have two esteemed speakers, Mihir Shah and Nikhil Prabhakar. Mihir Shah currently works as cloud native security engineer at Arista Networks, who has been a speaker and he holds training sessions at various conferences across the globe, including NullCon, OAPS, AppSec, All Day DevOps, etc. Nikhil has been working as security specialist at ThoughtWorks, and he has also been a speaker and international security trainer. They both have been Null chapter leader, so we are delighted to have you as a speaker. Please welcome Mihir and Nikhil.
Hey Gayatri.
Hey, hi
Hello.
everyone. How's it going?
Hi everyone.
Hello. So we
Okay.
want to know like how you people met first of all. Since the theme is buddy topic, you have both been the chapter leader once. So how
Yeah.
you people met?
Mihir, you want to go first?
Yeah, okay, sure.
Sure.
So I think so to answer that question, I think I'd have to go back of how I got associated with Null first. So that was, I guess, I was straight out of high school. I was in my first year of college, and I was just searching about meetups and clubs near me, like security clubs and meetups, because that's what I was excited about. And I came across Null, and I started attending those meets first. After like attending a couple of meets, I was like, okay, I think this is something doable. I can give a talk too. So I was like, let me put a timeline for myself. Let me start giving talks. And well, I think from second or third session, I started giving talks and stuff. And I think I don't remember if Nikhil was a chapter lead then. But so yeah, I guess I met him at the community once. I was giving a talk. I don't remember if I was giving a talk or if I was just attending and I was just chatting around with people. And that's I think that's when I came across Nikhil. I met him.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, is that right? Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and then I think we discussed of where he works. Where I mean, I didn't work then. I was still a student. So he. But although I guess every time that I've attended Null, the first question people have asked me is where do I work. So I was a bit confused as if do I look that old or is it that I have that wealth of knowledge. But anyways, yeah. So I think that's how I met Nikhil, and we started getting along once I became a chapter lead. We met more frequently on Google Meet, Zoom, or like even in person meets.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my rendition of it. Like I'll let Nikhil go next.
Sure, Mihir. Yeah, I think pretty much the same with me as well. So I think back in the day, so I finished my college I think somewhere in 2016, and I think I started into security somewhere in 2012. I got associated with Null I think somewhere in 2013 ish. So back in the days, I think security as a community or as a domain itself was not as mature as it is right now in this day and age. So uh, I think me and a bunch of my friends were in fact we were taking part in a lot of hackathons and all these coding events and all of that. I think somewhere there I think we happened to meet a friend of ours, and then who introduced in fact us to Null. And I think I eventually started following Null Google groups, and I think they also have a Google newsletter, right? So I think I started following that and started posting a bunch of questions there, and eventually I got to know that okay, there's something called as Null Meet that happens in Bangalore, and I think it's pretty fun to be there. And back in the days, I think things were not as easily accessible as it is right now in terms of your security learning. All if you wanted to learn about security, I think there were a bunch of forums where people used to sort of post certain set of tutorials, or YouTube was, I think, one of the places where you could learn, or Security Tube, or I think we had like a very limited set of sources. And I think community was the only place where you could actually interact with people, and then sort of exchange your ideas or your experiments, or things that you did, and then learn together with them. So I think that's where I kind of got associated with Null. I think when I got in, I think it was Riaz who was leading the chapter for Bangalore, and I think he's still leading the Bangalore chapter, I believe. Yeah, yeah. I think that's my side of story, I would say. I think Mihir, I eventually met. I think I was by then working already, so I think bumped into Mihir, I think, in one of the Null Bangalore meets that happened. Yeah, I think that's how I think. After that, I think we have met a lot of times in Goa, and I think bunch of other conferences. In fact, I think specifically we met at Nalcon, and I think post that, I think we have presented at a lot of places, and eventually bumped into each other. Yeah, yeah. I think that's my side of story.
So when you people join Null community, like do you people felt intimidated with the experts out there, or they were very welcoming to you people? Nikhil, you first.
Sure. So yeah, I think the first ever Null meet that I attended, I think I still remember the first talk I attended. It was on CSRF by Riaz himself. The amount of things that were being spoken out on that day were like things were just flying over my head. I couldn't really even comprehend what was going on in that Null meet. I think there were a lot of sessions that happened on. Even assembly and reverse engineering and all of that. Even till date, I think I don't really understand how things work on that side, though. But still, I think it was kind of intimidating, but also it was kind of fun. Also, I was really curious and sort of excited to be in a place where you have people who are also thinking the same way, about security, who are also there to learn about security, or also there to sort of exchange their ideas about security. So I think that was one of the key things that I really liked about being part of Null. Yeah, Mihir, you want to go next?
Also, I mean, you would have witnessed a smile on my face, and that's like because I was thinking about my first time and like what did I feel when I was attending that. So it's actually a very fun story. I think the first meet as I attended was the Null monthly meet, and I think now I honestly don't remember. Oh yeah, Riaz had given a talk on like second order SQL injection, and like none of those words made sense to me at that point in time. So I was attending that talk, and then I was just staring at the screen, seeing something go run up and down, and like Riaz was explaining something. I knew that it made sense at some point in time, but then I wasn't really sure of what's happening around me, and I knew that I don't want to speak up unless I am 100% sure of what I'm speaking is correct, because I knew that people attending the talks are like experts and stuff. But then what I realized is they are very much welcoming, right? So if you go approach someone and then say that, hey, this is where I stand, this is what I know, I didn't understand this part of your talk, but I found it interesting. they I mean, and this doesn't apply to everyone, I've had some bad experiences, but then majority of folks there would be welcoming to you, and they want you to improve basically. But the fun story is like the second meet that I attended, and it wasn't the meet, it was actually the one of these Hamla sessions, right, where you attack a machine, and that was from Riaz as well. And so that was, I think that was SQL injection attack or something. And that point in time, I was like, hang on, I know SQL. Why didn't this cross my mind to put an apostrophe and see what happens? Like, why didn't I think about this in this way? And then, so that was like a point wherein I started actually thinking about security, and then it got me interesting. It got me interested in this domain altogether. So yeah, I think for the most part of it, folks like Riaz and Madhu or even Akash, like who have been at a good position today, they have a wealth of knowledge, and they have been like very welcoming. Me being literally a noob in security at that point, and then helping me improve myself. So what helps in these at these times is when you approach someone saying that, hey, I'm new, what do I do, that doesn't just cut it, because there's literally everyone who does this, right? What actually helps you build relations is that to continue that, hey, so you told me to read this book, and then I did this lab, I was able to create this application, I was able to attack this, but I didn't understand this, and something like that. So that helps other people guide you better. I mean, that helps keep that interest in you, and that's how you build relations. So that was my initial plan when I wanted to attend Null meets. Now, this was like way tangent to what you had asked, but I wanted to share this here.
Yeah, well said, well said. Because when one is curious to learn, other people will guide them better. So next question will be, what makes Null a strong community from your perspective? Nikhil, you go first.
Okay, okay. Uh, so fundamentally, if you ask me, I think when I look at any community, right, I think I look at community as more of like a support system. Support system for individuals, who are wanting to learn or network and grow their skill set and eventually grow in their domain. So I think Null as a community, I think the key reason why it is what it is, it's mainly because I think you have a strong pool of like-minded folks, who are motivated in their domain, and who are helping in nature, who would want to sort of help you grow as well, and also eventually learn together. And I think that's one thing. So when I look at a community, I think three key aspects. One is a strong pool of like-minded individuals. The second being motivated champions. Someone who is driving it, in a really good direction. Like for example, we have had a lot of champions who have championed on Android security, or application security, or be it infra, or anything as such, right? I think that's one of the key things that I've noticed being part of Null. And I think third would be, I think, the different set of formats that you get to see here, because you have formats for most of the things that are there for security, right? I think for someone who's interested in knowing more about defensive side of security, you have bachav sessions. I think for someone who's interested in learning more about the offensive side, you have hamla sessions. And for someone who's completely into security, who would want to sort of understand how things really work at a very fundamental level, it could be as simple as how Docker really works, how VirtualBox works, or how your VMware, or how these things really work. I think you have your Pulia sessions. So I think you have formats for every different genre of people. So I think that certainly supports people from every walk of life in security. So I think that's really important for a community to sort of welcome people from all walks of different domains, I would say. uh, if you look at security, I think the only thing that I'm actually waiting for is someone to sort of come up with a format where it also helps the people from SCADA, ICS, and compliance set of people to sort of come in and sort of do something with that. So I think that's one thing. I think probably eventually, I'm sure that'll also happen very soon. Yeah.
Yes, Nikhil, the community is
Okay.
working on that topic so far. Mihir, will you please go next? According to you, what makes Null a strong community?
Yeah, that's actually a tough question. Like, I at first I thought while Nikhil answers, I'll think over this question, but then I was too engrossed in listening to Nikhil. Anyway, so yeah, I think not just Null. If I could speak generically for any community, right? The idea behind starting up a community or any meetup is to basically for like networking is the first thing. Like, to be really honest, the reason I attended Null meets was networking, right? Because I never felt that you can learn something in an hour or two, right? Unless you have like a day training session, then that's a different story altogether. But then you get a feel of what the topic is about, but then you really don't learn about it. And the key takeaway I had when I first started attending Null meets was to connect with people and then build relations on top of that, right? And yeah, I mean, being a college student, you're practically jobless, so you all you have to do is basically attend those meets and be mentored by folks who have done something in that field. So a community is, I think, exactly that. I mean, I've defined a community in this example as such, wherein you have folks who can steer the community at in some capacity, and you have folks who are willing to be a part of the community and learn and grow together, right? Uh, and one other thing, like one main prospect that I'd say, the one place where Null as a community helped me a lot is, we all have this habit of procrastinating learning or procrastinating stuff when you know that you have to do that. So what I used to do is, even if I was not aware of a topic but at all, I used to volunteer that, hey, next week I want to give a talk on this, like, even though I have no idea of what that topic is about, right? So what that the way it helped me is, it kind of gave me a deadline to study it, to practice on top of it, because and I knew that people were going to listen to me. Those folks have like 10 years of experience and stuff like that, so I cannot just go up there and like talk rubbish. I would have to talk something that makes sense and is solid, right? So it kind of set limit for me that I have 1 month to study this, to practice on top of this, and do whatever I want to make that content ready. uh, and when you give such talks, you kind of create an impression. And this is completely my thinking. You might have different opinions, and I'd be wanting to hear them out. But then when you give a talk, you basically come into the people start looking at you, and like people know that you're a beginner. In my case, people knew that I'm a beginner, and then I'm someone who is willing to learn, and then they kind of want to help you in that direction as well. So that is exactly what a community is for me. Like, you don't have a CFP wherein you submit a paper, you get accepted, only then you give a talk and stuff like that. You have a community who is motivating you to give talks. There's a community who is motivating you to learn something new and then practice on top of it. And even after once you've given a talk, there are folks in the community who would want to correct you and then guide you in a better way, right? Which is not possible at conferences or other such big tech events.
True, true, very true. Like community is there to help everyone who is willing to learn. So, the next question, Simran, will you like to ask next question?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start with you, Mihir. Could you please tell us your journey with Null? Like, how long have you been you've been working with the industry and along with the community partnership?
Okay, so yeah, that's again a very fun story. So I came to Bangalore, I think 4 years back, to pursue my bachelor's. So I'd come from Mumbai to Bangalore, and so I think Nikhil might know about this. So my university, right? So during my first year, I was living in the hostel, and like that campus space was, I think, 70 to 80 kilometers away from the Bangalore city. So I remember waking up at 5 in the morning on a Saturday, and then since it was so far away, you didn't have Uber or stuff like that. So I had to take the government bus, and I forgot the name of that bus in Bangalore. But you had to take that bus, and then I reached to Banshankari, and then I probably took a cab and stuff. But yeah, that is what I did. Like, I woke up at 5 in the morning. It took me 3 hours to reach the event in Bangalore, and then I used to have my breakfast there somewhere, and then I used to attend the events. Now the main goal for me to attend those events was basically those 10-minute networking sessions, right? Uh, because during the the former meets that I attended, I anyways didn't understand much, so I felt kind of bored at that point in time. But what I wanted to do is basically talk to people and understand their set of thinking, and basically try to gain their attention in what in where I stand and what do I want to do next, right? So this was like my main prospect of getting into Null, which was 4 years back. After which, I started giving a lot of talks. I remember doing that a lot. I bunked a lot of my classes. I attended a lot of events at Null, and not just the meets, but I conducted like the one-day training sessions, pulia sessions, and stuff. And one thing is, like, again, another reason is I thought it made me feel cool back in college, just because I did something that my other friends didn't do something. So anyways, yeah. But besides that, I guess the reason I was able to do all of this is because I had a lot of folks who were willing to guide me and mentor me, and not just during the meets, right? I remember talking to Madhu on call for like hours at stretch, asking him, "Hey, so I did this, I did that, but it didn't work out," and then things like that. Uh, so one thing I hated to attribute myself was a student, right? Because uh, because it puts, and completely this was my thinking back then, that when you say that you're a student, it puts a preset notion that you're dumb, Okay, and this is something I used to think a while back. Okay, this is just it sounds very juvenile now, but this is something I used to think a while back. So I always attributed myself of the skill set I have or the skill set I want to learn. Right. So if someone asks me, what I do, I hated to say that I go to college. Right. I said that I do security. I tried developing apps. I try to break them and things like that. So that's how I used to steer the conversation with folks and Null when I first started there. So yeah, and then I think during my second year of college, I guess Nikhil had approached me that, hey, do you want to be a chapter lead or something? And again, at that point in time, I thought chapter lead was like you becoming like a person of importance, a kind of a VIP in a community. But that definitely isn't it. But it's just what I felt at that point in time. Uh, so I was like, hey, yeah, that's really awesome, and like I'd love to be a chapter leader. And I was like, yeah, where's my crown? What privileges do I get now? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think that's when I became chapter leader. I started organizing events and stuff, uh, and that is how I got to a very deeper level of understanding of how the community works. I started contributing to like Null's open source projects at that point in time as well. So I started, engrossing more and more into contributing to what Null was doing, and I always felt this, I felt that I was indebted to the knowledge that I've gained, and how much people have supported me. So I think during the NullCon event that I think where I and Nikhil had met again, I had received. Okay, so I'd received a lot of free things during that time. So that is one of the perks being a student. Uh, I think AppSeco was conducting one of the training sessions at NullCon that year, and Abhishek Datta had given me a free pass to his training session for breaking and pawning Kubernetes clusters, and I was super happy about it. And that year, I had submitted a CFP at NullCon, which got rejected anyways. But I received a free pass for NullCon as well. So I was super happy about it. So I like my pass was sponsored, and like I got a training session. But to the point, the reason this happened is because people are always there to help you out, right? So if they see that you're putting in the efforts, if they see that you're someone who's really wanting to learn, they will try to help you as much as they can, right? So I think that's during my second year or third year, I went to NullCon and I attended those sessions. I guess yeah, that's pretty much it. By the end of my fourth year, I guess I was just organizing events and stuff because I had given a lot of talks. I remember at some point in time, Nikhil or some at least one other chapter lead had told me that I'm not allowed to give talks anymore. Like I have to give other folks a chance to basically give talks. And I was like, yeah, okay. I mean, anyways, I'm done with it at this point. So yeah, I think those have been like the past 4 years. And now recently I stepped down because I moved to the US, and then I expected to see you know physical events. By the way, are we conducting physical events now in Bangalore? I'm not sure on that.
No, I think we are still waiting for things to become better now. Yeah, I think post that we should be able to do that.
Okay, nice. Yeah, so I mean, in that kind of comprehensive fashion, that was my a part of my experience with NullCon.
Okay. What about you, Nikhil?
Yeah, I think with me, the way I got into security itself was because of Null. I think it was just that me and my a bunch of my friends were in fact taking part in a lot of hackathons and all that. I think still being in college, I was sure about what domain I would want to get into. But I think eventually, I think when I got into Null, when I started interacting with these different set of individuals, I think it was really early in India. At least the security space was kind of booming at that point of time. I would say it was becoming better, I would say. And I got to meet a lot of them, I think, who are now heading the security teams in their organizations right now. A bunch of them have become CISOs, CXOs, and all of that. Back in the days, I think it was actually easier for me to actually reach out to them. Now I think over the weekdays time it becomes a little difficult, but yeah, I think it's during the community catch-ups is the only time where I actually get to meet them and talk to them quite freely, I would say. But yeah, I think if you look at it, for me, I think it was kind of a very similar story as to what happened to Mihir as well. When I got in, I think Akash and Riaz were in fact conducting extreme web hacking security, I think, training at Nalcon. And they basically said, okay, hey, since you're a student, we would just want to sort of give you a free pass, and then want you to attend our training. So that was like really fun. I think that was my first ever security training that I attended, and I think that was I think I got to learn a lot from there. And I think the fact that what Mihir said, if you are willing to learn, there are people who are ready to sort of help you out in all possible ways, for sure. So I think that's one of the reasons why you will actually see a lot of old timers from Null still sticking with Null, because I think it's the people that makes this community what it is. So I think yeah, I think that's been my beginning, I would say, at Null. And I think, yeah, I think I joined Null in
Exactly.
2013. I don't know, like it's been what, 8 years now? Yeah,
Yes.
7 to 8 years at least. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have 2 points from this. To answer your question, Mihir, we are not having any like physical meetups kind of thing. But yes, due to COVID, the new pattern has come up, and now I think Null has organized two groups, but which are security groups, basically study security groups. So many of the groups are active. We have web security study groups. We have cloud security study groups. So people there would be two mentors, 2 or 3 mentors who would be coming us every weekend, just for an hour or two. They'll be helping us with the doubts which we have. They will be giving us topics. So you have the whole month, like you said, that if they are giving you some points, they are giving you some tasks, you have to finish the task, and by the next week you have to submit all the tasks. And if you are able to submit the task, that is well and good. If you are not able to submit the task, you can have a conversation with them, and they'll be figuring out or helping you out with how to figure out that situation. So those kind of things are still happening, but unfortunately it's virtual because of this COVID thing. And yeah, so Nikhil, basically what is happening as of now is that what you said makes complete sense, because even I started my, like, Nalcon is my security first security conference as well. And I think that Nalcon being a like following a unconference pattern, it gives a lot of freedom. You can connect to a lot more people, and at the same time you have the liberty to go attend the trainings and talk to people about security, get to know better things which you generally don't get to know about. So yes,
Yeah.
that's one thing. Okay, so moving ahead with next question. How did you got to know about Null? Nikhil, what about you?
Yeah, I think it was just through a friend of mine. So he, uh, I think he was kind of very close to one of my mentors right now, uh, Prashant KV,
Okay.
who's well known as KV sir
Yes.
all across India. So
Yes.
eventually, I got to meet Prashant KV sir, and then he, in fact, introduced me to Null Bangalore. I think back then. I think after that, I've been I started attending Null meets on a very regular basis. Post that, I got to meet a lot of other different sort of folks, like Akash, Riaz, and Amol, and Ankur, and bunch of other different sort of folks. I think yeah, I think that's where it all started. And back then I was still in college. I think it was really funny for me to sort of let everyone know, if there were some times where they used to just call me out for lunch or for dinner or something, and I used to like deny them, saying that, hey, I have my classes, so I can't come with you guys for lunch and things like that. So I think, and they used to just laugh it off. This guy is still in college and all that, but I think they were really supportive. I think if you look at it, they were really, in fact, excited for the fact that I was starting quite early in security. I think I've also met a person who was still in his eighth standard, who had come to one of the Null meets. He was really interested in coding in Python, and coming up with some small geeky stuff. So I think the earlier the better. It's always good. I think that's what I've been also told. uh, People were, in fact, fascinated that I had started quite early. Like, I started into security in my second year of engineering, and most of them eventually learn about security probably once they get out of engineering, or probably when they realize that your college learning is not going to be helpful in any ways possible in your career. I think the
One of
earlier
them is
we
me.
The earlier we realize that fact, I think the better it is. So yeah.
What about you, Mihir?
Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking my set of events. So you were asking how did we get to know about
Got to
Null,
know
right?
about Null, yeah.
Okay. I think I and a friend of mine back from college. We were looking on like events happening around us and events in Bangalore, that is. And I think was it online or I, I think they were listed on meetup.com or some place at that point in time. I remember we had our own portal on null.co.in, but for like Null Hyderabad and like other places, they were listed on meetup.com as well. So I was like, okay, let me just check this out. What is it about? And then this was so I've always been a developer. I've been more of a software engineer, and that's more of what I do right now as well. But I wanted to learn security as a skill set, and I believe that every developer out there should have that granular understanding of how security works. Um, so I was like, okay, this is something new, and I am like, I'm done learning all these new languages and frameworks and stuff. Let me try this out. And then that's when I attended Null events. And then when you don't understand something, like to quote Batman here, people fear what they don't understand, right? So I didn't understand anything about security then, and I was like, why aren't they teaching me like C++, Java, and stuff like that? Why is this so weird? But that's what hooked me, and that's what got me to learn, read those 1,000 pages books at night, and then get to. And the reason I read those many books is just so that I could have a conversation with folks who were I felt I'm just going there and I'm sitting out there like and just saying nothing because I have no knowledge about stuff. And I was like, if I want to be able to talk to them, I need to have at least that foundation or that threshold of knowledge. So yeah, I think, but that doesn't answer your question of how I got to Null. This is after I got to Null and I started attending the events. Yeah, as for how I got to Null, it's pretty simple. Like I think I came across it on Meetup.com.
Yeah, the reason we are asking this question is because as of now we have a lot of social media platforms and we get to know about all the meetups, or like there are a lot of meetups or sessions which keeps on happening. But I think earlier this was not possible, or this was not the case. So yeah, basically yes, I think now as of now we everybody has friends who are into security at some point of time, and that's how we got to know each other through LinkedIn or so Facebook or something like that. Okay, good to know about this. Now my next question would be how Null has helped you professionally and like in your personal growth.
Is that
I
is that
would
for me or
like, yeah, you can go, please.
okay? So Null has actually helped me a lot, and I mean that like in okay. Am I audible? I think I just lost. Okay, perfect. Right. So Null has helped me like seriously a lot. The way I landed my first job was because of Null. And okay, so let me run you through this. I think it was my second year of college when I came across this one of these tweet from Mubix, which is who's like Rob Fuller, and he had tweeted like there was some kind of a competition, giveaway competition for OSCP, and I had to write a research paper on explaining return-oriented programming to someone who's new to InfoSec, right? So I had written like a 12-page lengthy paper, and then I'd asked Riaz to review it once, and then I was like, hey, I really want this OSCP voucher. Can you please review this and stuff? So he had reviewed that and like he made a lot of improvements. And at the end of the day, I won that OSCP voucher. I started prepping for OSCP, and that was one certification that I did, which is under my belt, uh, which was kind of because of Null. Because had I not met Riaz, I would have been I wouldn't have been able to win that voucher. I mean, he had made a lot of revisions there. So besides that, I mean, this was a very lame thing, but I wanted to bring this up because at that point in time, I felt it was more of an achievement to win that $1,200 voucher. Uh, and but besides that, I think I had given a very peculiar talk at Null regarding was it custom shell coding or was it had it something to do with Dockers? I don't remember. But then Vandana had asked me to give that talk in their OWASP Bangalore channel, right, on YouTube. So I had given that talk on OWASP Bangalore's YouTube channel, and apropos to that, someone from LinkedIn reached out to me saying that, hey, I saw that talk of yours and that was pretty interesting. so let's stay in touch and stuff. And like a couple of days after that, they then said that we have an opening at a firm based in US, and we're still at that startup position. Would you like to join us? And as I said, I was still in my third year, but I never wanted to say that I'm a student yet. So like, even though I mean, at some point in time, I told them that, okay, I'm still in my third year. Is that okay with you guys? They were like, yeah, that's okay. I mean, why don't you come up for an interview and see how it goes? So I then did that interview, and I got into that company, which was then a startup here in the US. But yeah, the reason I was able to do that is because I gave a talk at OWASP, and that was because I gave a lot of talks at Null. So basically, my break into the industry was because of Null, kind of. Besides that, I think professionally itself, Null has a lot of projects. Like, I think the Null community portal, which is written in Ruby, I think. Okay, I'm so sorry, I forgot his name. The maintainer of that project, Abhishek. Yeah, okay, sorry,
Abhishek. Yeah.
Abhishek. If you're listening to this, I do remember you. But okay, so Abhishek is, I think, maintaining that project, and I was going through the issues on the GitHub profile. I was like, okay, this seems interesting, and then I reached out to him that, okay, how do I contribute to this and stuff, and then Abhishek was really welcoming. I mean, he said that I told him that I don't know Ruby. I think the most I can do is contribute to the front end part of it. He was like, yeah, why don't you try doing it? If nothing at all, you would still have some kind of an open source contribution to put on your resume. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So I started contributing to those open source projects at Null. I started talking at a lot of events, including NullCon and OWASP, the DevSlop events and the AppSec events. Uh, but so this is how I started building up my resume at that point in time, right? I started adding projects that I got visibility for. I started giving talks and presentations that I got visibility for. And again, so after this, I think someone from Stanford University had also watched one of my talks at OWASP, right? So, and they were like, hey, so we have this extracurricular course subject that we make our students take for extra credits. Would you want to be an industry mentor for our students who are pursuing bachelor's there? Now, the funny part was, I myself was pursuing bachelor's at that point in time, my bachelor's degree, and they were asking me to mentor for students who were pursuing bachelor's. So I again made them clear that, okay, I'm very happy, and I'm humbled that you've come up with this, but I'm still a student and stuff. And they were like, yeah, that's okay. Why don't you give us kind of a demo and stuff? And but so again, the reason I was able to do that is because I had given such talks at Null, and I was able to basically come across such awesome folks like Riaz, Akash, who were able to guide me better at that point in time. So professionally, I guess Null has helped me a lot. Personally, I guess Null has imbibed that agitation in me to basically learn more, and you know to make sure that when I speak something, it should make sense. Like, I shouldn't just speak for the sense of feeling that kind of presence. So yeah, I think Null has helped me in a lot of ways, from like speaking at events. I was really an introvert. I couldn't talk to people. I couldn't give talks at events, let alone doing a webinar. But I think that is one part where Null has helped me. Networking connections. When you start talking to folks who have been in the industry for like 8 years, 10 years, 20 years, talking to them, organizing events. Like, I think a lot of prospects in life. I'd run out of my thinking capacity at this point if I start jotting down the ways Null has helped me. But yeah, I've always felt indebted to the community altogether.
I think me and Gayatri would also agree to the same thing because we have also taken, like, after taking this initiative of having webinars, then only we have started coming on, like, on front and then started talking. Anyway, Nikhil, what about you? Please proceed.
Yeah, I think in terms of personal as well as professional growth, I think that's a very interesting one to answer. In fact, so I think I've been, I think before, I would say, I think just in the last couple of years, I've gotten into the defensive side of security. Prior to that, I was more on the offensive side. Just focusing on VAPT and testing and all of that. And certainly, I didn't have that kind of an empathy towards developers. I didn't really understand if a feature is being developed, what goes through in a developer's mind. Why are they implementing it in a certain way, And then all me being a security guy used to do was like find flaws and then tell the development that, hey, you guys are doing this, you are doing that and all of that. But eventually, now that I've shifted the role, I think I'm more on the defensive side. I actually get to work with the devs on a very regular basis. Now I really understand, like for example, for a password storage functionality, if a developer is implementing SHA 256 instead of SHA 512, why are they doing that? What is the logical reasoning behind that? So all those aspects I get to really understand. I think I've gotten to empathize more towards developers and other different business functions, is what I can say, which I was not earlier. That's one. Secondly, if you look at it, yeah, even I think us being more inclined towards tech, tech folks are usually introvertish. I'm not sort of putting a blanket across for everyone, but I think most of them, most of us are in fact introvertish. So even I was more of like a shy introvertish kind of a person. I think if I want to put it in a phrase, I would say from being shy and introvert to becoming a chapter leader, or chapter leading India's largest security community, I would say. I think that's the transformation that Null has certainly helped me with. So yeah, I think that's what I can say.
Definitely. I think being a leader also gives you a lot of responsibility, and with responsibility comes a lot of new things as well.
Yeah.
So, Gayatri, would you like to proceed, please?
Yeah, sure, Simran. As Mihir mentioned, like he's working abroad right now. So I would like to know what is your experience like if you have been in India as a security professional and in abroad. So what difference does it make?
I don't think I could answer. Okay, so when I was back in India, I was working for a team completely based out in the US. So I really don't have much experience in quote unquote working in India, but I have done a lot of freelancing uh, back in college, wherein I used to take in certain projects from companies and just do a part of that project. But again, so that was again freelancing. So I used to do it as a third party contractor and kind of get paid for it. Uh, but I haven't really worked as an employee for any company in India typically.
Let me reframe it. What will be the difference between work from home and like what is your experience? Both. It will
Okay,
be for
again,
both.
I have still been working from home. I haven't set my foot to an office space. Besides the null meets that I've attended, because they were at some kind of office space. So the only interaction I've had, the only time I've set my foot in office space is during null meets and like other such community meetups. So yeah, I mean, I couldn't be much help of you to answer that question at this point.
So what about you, Nikhil? What difference do you observe between work from home and actual physical orientation?
Yeah, I think in a way, in a way, I think the work from home is good, but I really would actually want to go back to office and then interact with folks. I think that part is certainly missing for sure.
Okay, true. We all
Yeah,
miss the colleagues' interaction,
true,
truly
true.
said.
Yeah.
And one more question will be, it will be the last question. What is the best experience you people had with Null? One best
Okay.
experience. So we'll start with Nikhil.
Sure, sure. I think okay. I think so far everything has been a great experience, I would say, with Null. I think the bonding that I get to see with people, right, and with each of us helping each other, every one of us helping each other. I think that's something that you don't really get to see in the professional world, right? I think security in itself is a very small space, right? It's it's not as big as you see the developers group or other different business functions, right? Security is like comparatively very small. So even if you take any organization, I think the security team is not going to be more than 5% of the entire organization's workforce. So considering that, I think the amount of help that you get, the amount of the support that you get from different set of individuals, I think that's been really amazing. The fact that so the people that we interact on a regular basis at Null meets, right, that happen, I think I get to see even folks who are at the level of at the level of CXO or CISOs, or who are heading their entire security team at their organization, come down to Null meets and just listen to talks like a student. I think that really baffles me after, at a certain point, because see, they are just dropping off all their hats, and then all that, they're just dropping off all their guards that they have, and then they just come there, interact with people just like normal, without any sort of a ego or anything as such. And I think that's really phenomenal, I would say. uh, and I think the kind of mentors that you really get to see here, I think that's been the best experience. The fact that most of my mentors that have mentored me, in fact have supported me in my research that I've done, which I've been eventually been able to sort of publish or speak at various different security events across the globe and all of that. So I think that level of support is what is always looked at. So that again goes back to the first point that I ever said, as what do you look at in a community, right? I think it's fundamentally, communities are support systems. And I think Null has been a great support system for me and Mihir, and a lot of folks in security, I would say. Yeah, that's the best experience I can certainly say.
True. What about you, Mihir?
Yeah, I mean, I'd want to be diplomatic here, and like again, I don't have a singular experience which was phenomenal, but like the entire journey that I've had with Null, during my time back in India, the entire part was phenomenal. So I remember attending Null Bangalore events, and again, there's this one event that I want to share, which is kind of funny. Uh, so what I used to do since I was living in Bangalore, attending my college back then, I used to attend Null Bangalore meets, and during the semester end vacations, I used to go back to my home in Mumbai, and I used to attend Null Mumbai events there. Right, so it wasn't as if I didn't have any social life. I mean, during my first year, I was just kind of more excited about this at that point in time. So I remember setting up kind of plans with my friends back in college for nights, and then I was like, "नहीं सुबह मुझे null attend करना है," and like उसके बाद I'll join you guys at night in the pub and plus. So, but that's how I used to divide my time, and then I started meeting a lot of folks in Null Mumbai as well. And then they used to ask me that, "Hey, where do you work? What do you do?" I was like, I'm like, I stay in Mumbai, but I currently am pursuing bachelor's from Bangalore and stuff. And I remember this one time we had like the 10th anniversary at Null Bangalore, right? So, and then Akash was like heading that session. He was asking such questions. Where were you 10 years back, and now where are you right now? And then I took upon that question as well. I was wondering, where was I 10 years back? And I remember I was still in fourth standard. So I was telling everyone, was like, I was working at Citrix. I was doing that. I was like, hey, I think I was in my fourth standard there. And then it was more of a kind of a laughter event there. But then that got me to thinking that, yeah, I mean, I feel that I have been doing something sound with my life. When you attend such community events, when you do something which is appreciated by folks around you, you are encouraged to do that further. And I think Null has been doing that a lot. I had given a lot of talks in one of my years, and I think Nikhil or someone from the Null Bangalore team had uh, put on my name on that blog that, hey, I think Mihir Shah from Bangalore has done all of this, and that really encouraged me, because you're motivating someone, you're encouraging them on doing something phenomenal, doing something good, right? So Null as a community has like the entire journey has been phenomenal for me. Like every interaction that I've had with folks in the community, every interaction that I've had giving a talk or conducting such training sessions at community have been phenomenal. I've learned something. Even though if I'm conducting that training session, I've still learned something from folks who have attended those events, who have been using those technologies. And of course, when you're attending the training session, you're practically learning a lot. So I don't think I can pinpoint a singular session which has been phenomenal. It's been like a series of events that I've attended which have been phenomenal to date.
Yes, well said, Mihir. Like we all know, like when you are curious and you are open to learning, everyone there are to help. So the key takeaway from this talk will be, what will be the personality traits you people wish an individual should have for being part of community. So any three personality traits one should have. Starting with you, Mihir.
Okay. One is always be open to learning and growing. Of course, the moment you start thinking of yourself a know-it-all, you know, either you're gonna come across someone who is gonna show you where you stand, or you're gonna, you're gonna come across folks who don't really want to interact with you, right? And the another that brings me to my next, very important personality trait that you should be having is developing that networking skills, right? Because us being in tech, we learn a lot about technical stuff. We tend to learn a lot about, and that's readily accessible, right? You can readily learn anything that you want to, but to develop that trait to basically talk to people and basically showcase yourself, like, agreed, you can learn a lot about that as well, but that is pointless unless you actually do it, right? So the only way you can uh, develop that trait is by attending and by overcoming that anxiety that makes you feel overwhelmed talking to people. And again, this is easier said than done. I am able to say it now because I know everyone there, right? So the only time you are able to have that kind of comfort is when you get to know a lot of people, right? Once you, like, if you're sitting in front, if you're sitting with your friends, you're very open with stuff. You're able to speak a lot of things with them. But the reason you're not able to do that in a community or a place new is that because you start thinking of what people are going to think of you, right? So this is one thing that I shredded back. I was like, I really don't care what people think of me, but I am here to learn, and I'm here to uh, make great connections. So I think these are two personality traits. But since you asked me for three, I'd have to say, uh, I mean, yeah. Oh, one other thing. Yeah, and again, this is super important, is what I felt. That is standing up for yourself, right? Like, so first of all, no community is perfect, right? What makes a community is the people attending or people being a part of that community. And not everyone is the ideal person you'd want them to be, right? So you might come across folks who would just want to push you down, or who are not so humble. And I've had those experiences, and especially when you're a student, you have this inherent feeling that people who are working in industry are kind of superior to you. At least I had that. I don't know. And but the way I came across that is how what makes them superior to me. And at first, I believe Null itself has a motto that, we're all equal, we're all learners here, and we're all here sitting, coming together to learn and grow. But again, not everyone is so ideal. So there comes times, where you have to stand up for yourself. You have to stand to the point that you're making, and that gives you a sense of confidence when you do that, right? So you you kind of feel to do more talks, or uh, to kind of prove your point. And this helps not just in communities, but I've found this to be something of importance across industries, across any place that you have to make an impression. You should believe in what you speak, you should believe in what you think, and you should stand up for it. So I think these are few personality traits I believe to be of key importance, and not just pertaining to Null, but as overall, I'd say generally altogether.
True, Mihir. I believe it's better to be fool for a day than fool for life. So when you're not speaking up or asking questions, you are just hindering your progress. That's it. What about you, Nikhil? What are the key points you wish one individual should have?
Yeah, I would say I kind of agree with, I mean, I would completely agree, in fact, with what Mihir just said. I think, also, I think what I also look at is fundamentally, first thing is your willingness to learn. When you're coming there to attend any of your meet, or for that matter, any community catch-ups, I think the willingness to learn is fundamental thing that an individual needs to have. And I think the ability to ask why, like, if a topic is being sort of presented, then you need to ask those questions, or say you're trying to understand something, you need to keep asking why. Why do developers use this? Why do you do this? Why do you use this particular mitigation for this vulnerability? So the why, you when you keep asking those why, is when you finally start getting more and more answers, and then your understanding about that domain certainly helps a lot. I think that's one of the person that I actually met via Null itself. I think he made me realize that my understanding about a lot of concepts were just too shallow. And then once he started asking me those whys, I then understood, okay, I need to really get a good hold of my domain and then understand things better. So I think uh, that's the second one. Third is to have an opinion. So there are going to be times in a community catch-ups like these where if someone is presenting a particular topic or about a particular subject or about some concept, there are going to be debates. Or let's say even if you're presenting about a particular idea, there are going to be a lot of debates, back and forth. People are going to question you. People are going to question your fundamental understanding about that idea or concept itself. So having an opinion, and also having a strong opinion about something, and also willing to sort of accept at the time where you are completely wrong, I think that's also something that one needs to have. And I think the fact that I think we all would have faced that when we have been the first timers to a community event like this, where okay, so someone else is going to present and I'm just going to sit there and listen. So probably that shouldn't be the case. Probably you can take ownership. So the way we used to do at Null Bangalore is we basically ask the freshers to sort of take up a topic, the new joinees or the newcomers to take up a topic and then present. So they get like a 1 month time to go back and prepare. So when you have those kind of deadlines, then you ensure that you start preparing yourself. Or even if you don't know, if you're completely new to the topic, I think that really is going to help you. When you start telling others, or sort of presenting it to others, is when you actually sort of learn more about it than in fact learning the other way around. So yeah, I think these are the key aspects I would certainly say.
Very well said, Mihir and Nikhil. So that's all. We don't have any further questions from audience as well. So thank you so much for joining us as today's webinar. We are delighted to have you. So, and one more thing I need to add, like as Mihir mentioned, like there is a Ruby platform over there. We are actually looking for volunteers. So if you are interested in contributing to Null community in any way, please join the form. Like please fill the form which is mentioned in the description below. And thank you so much, Mihir and Nikhil, to be part of this webinar.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
Likewise,
Bye.
it
Have a
was
nice
great
Thank
to
day.
you,
speak
Mihir.
stuff.
Thank you, Nikhil.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.